Good morning. Bear with me, I'm already crying. Thank you for inviting me here to speak today. Thank you all for coming. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to give back to the people at HealthRIGHT who made it possible for me to get sober. Okay, I got a long speech, so I gotta get it together again. My name is Katie, and I am a San Francisco native. I went to school at St. Brendan from kindergarten through 8th grade and attended my first year of high school at School of the Arts. I was interested in theater arts as a child. I loved performing and being in the spotlight. But as I got a little bit older, I started to feel intense social anxiety and overwhelmingly insecure. It seemed like everyone around me was just so naturally their authentic self, and I was working so hard to make it look like I wasn't fitting in on purpose. Weed and alcohol gave me what felt like a connection to other people for the first time. I felt light, happy, liked when I was using, but was becoming increasingly depressed and exhibiting signs that would alarm any parents, and mine took notice right away. Self-harm, lying, stealing, sneaking out, obvious substance abuse. My parents felt that a program for troubled teens was their only shot at saving their daughter. And so the majority of my early teenage years consisted of a string of wilderness programs, youth rehabs, and a therapeutic boarding school. I graduated high school a year early at 17, and though I had a couple years clean, I never developed coping skills for the real world and wasn't invested in my own rehabilitation. When I went off to college the next year, I was grossly unprepared to take care of myself and make healthy choices. I began to use again, trying anything and everything I could find my freshman year at Brevard College in North Carolina. I loved everything about getting high and felt like I had found my tribe in the people I used with. But drugs didn't stay fun for very long, and after a 4-day-long trip on LSD and starting to use methamphetamine, I started experiencing negative psychological effects that didn't go away after I came down. Go figure. I stopped studying, my confidence evaporated, and my sense of self started to become dependent on drinking and using. At the end of the year, I wanted a fresh start and transferred to Portland State in Oregon. Not surprising, but I encountered the same issue at my new school. In 12-step programs, when we move to a new place to escape our problems, we call this pulling a geographic. My anxiety, insecurities, and compulsion to use drugs moved to Portland with me, and within a couple months, I had graduated to IV drug use. I started shooting up coke and heroin, and I'd fallen in love with it. An intense, blinding euphoria that washed over me and seemed to just lift me right off the ground. I believed I'd found my only purpose in life. Towards the end of the school year, I overdosed and my mom came to get me. I tried outpatient rehab, but I wasn't convinced I needed to be there. I moved to LA and managed to keep my using to just weed and alcohol, but eventually moved back to Portland and resumed my heroin habit. I overdosed again, and I decided to hike the Appalachian Trail, thinking I might find peace of mind in the woods. After breaking my ankle, halfway through the trip, I flew home to have surgery. I was prescribed narcotic pain medication and picked up right where I left off, back to the needle as soon as I could walk. After finishing the trail the next year, I moved to South Lake Tahoe and got a job at a local ski resort, vowing to not use any hard drugs ever again. But after 2 years, I was living in a house with the gas turned off, fired from my job, supporting a $200 a day opiate habit by selling weed, and I missed my rent. I couldn't stay ahead of my using, and my dad was kind enough to let me move back home and give me a job when I reached out and asked for help. But within a month, I was pawning everything of value I owned and would steal from my dad so I could buy crack and heroin. Left with no other choice, he kicked me out, and I became homeless. I started out just panhandling to support my habit, but soon I graduated to other things and sank deeper into a pit of a demoralizing cycle of homeless drug use. I was stuck in a nightmare of scavenging for scraps and accumulating cash that disappeared by the end of the day as I fell further from reality and became psychotic. I watched the seasons change, the holidays come and go, and my family and friends faded to distant memories. I spent most of my time underground in the BART station. The whole world seemed to be moving forward while I was stuck in place, reliving the worst day of my life and stacking trauma that still haunts me today. I was covered in scabs, bruises, and lice. I started pulling my hair out in manic fits, and I lost control of my bladder for a year. My psychosis became crippling, hearing voices, talking to myself, and yelling at people who weren't there. I was arrested countless times, for using drugs, and then missing court for citations for sleeping on the sidewalk, petty theft, mental health issues, and selling BART tickets. After years outside and in and out of jails and hospitals, multiple overdoses, I was eventually put on probation, and I finally decided I wanted help. I didn't know if I could actually stop using. I just knew I wanted a better life. I showed up at HealthRIGHT 360's mission location, scared and hopeful, in October 2018. I'd been homeless for 7 years by this point and was almost unrecognizable. Yet I felt seen, understood, and never judged when I walked into HealthRIGHT. I was greeted with a smile and told that they would make room for me in that morning's intake, both of us knowing I might not make it back if I was turned away. I'll never forget the van ride over to Walden House on Buena Vista, hopeful that this insanity and pain was finally coming to an end. I kept mostly to myself at first and felt the increasing weight of the trauma I had been through as I detoxed, but the staff were always warm and kind and provided me with a doctor who prescribed me Suboxone to help me physically manage the withdrawals and that transition. In group after group, I relearned how to take care of myself and examined the reasons I used in the first place. I learned about coping skills to prevent relapse and addressed the underlying issues and feelings I was trying to suppress. I felt safe enough to be vulnerable with my counselors and even make a couple friends while I was there. I took a few hundred showers in my 90 days trying to wash the street off of me and started jogging to cope with stress, learning that esteemable acts build self-esteem. I felt my personality start to emerge and got to know myself without the influence of drugs. Throughout my treatment at Walden House and afterwards, HealthRIGHT 360 prescribed me Suboxone to maintain my sobriety, taper off when I was ready, Abilify to manage my depression, and I think it was 3 months. It says I wrote 12 weeks, but it's 3 months, to completely cure me of hepatitis C, and provided aftercare with a therapist. I am proud to say that today I am sober, healthy, and grateful, with 7 years clean next month. I never thought I'd say that for sure. After 6.5 years of working full-time and part-time at City College, the last 4, I transferred to San Francisco State this fall so I could go to school full-time and pursue a bachelor's degree in physiology. I am currently applying to nursing programs as well, with aspirations of becoming an RN. My relationships with my family members have been restored, and I am the mother of a beautiful, healthy 3-year-old girl. Being her mom and loving her gives me more purpose and fulfillment than anything ever has before, which without my sobriety wouldn't be possible. My dad and stepmom are here today, who I would like to thank for believing in me. I put them through absolute hell, but if it were not for this program, we might not have made it here where we are now. So if you guys want to just stand up really fast, people. I love you guys. Thank you to everyone at HealthRIGht 360 for your compassion and respect, just being there when I was ready, and for being the lifeline for people like me to receive the expertise, the guidance, and love you provide. If I can leave you guys with one thought here today, it's that everyone you see on the street in the thralls of addiction has a story. Most of them do not have people left on their side like I did. They are someone's absent child, a sibling, a parent or grandparent, and feel more lost than I hope you'll ever know. Programs like this one are essential in providing people with a way out of that cycle when and if they're ever ready. So please look at them through your most compassionate human lens. Thank you for having me here today.